God. Get the heat on. Hey guys, I'm Mike and I make stuff. Yeah, I know I look a little different. I decided to hit the razor for a change. I wanted to touch on a couple of things this week, and the first one being a huge thank you. I cannot believe, I thought, I put out that first little video, building a crate. I'll get, a few dozen views, whatever. We'll have a good time with it, have a few laughs, right? This thing is already encroaching on 1,000 views. I don't even understand what happened. I guess it got picked up by recommendations and people were watching it. So that's pretty awesome. And I guess I just got lucky. Hell, I don't know. It's neither here nor there. At any rate, all of you that ended up watching it, thanks. Appreciate it. Another side note of that, funny as it is, it's a momentous occasion. I got my first dislike, which is awesome. And to the person who gave me the dislike, well, you can go take a flying. Anyway, little update. The crate ended up making about 20 bucks. We put it up on Facebook Marketplace. A journey of 1,000 miles, right? So we've got 20 bucks and we ended up investing in another tool. I'm going to bring that to you in a future video and we'll talk about how that's going to add in to the repertoire of what we had before. Remember, we were trying to focus on not, the extensive amount of tools I got here in the shop, but just pretending like we're just starting out and kind of emulating the way I did it when I first started. So we started out with a simple saw and a hammer and some nails, a little bit of glue. Next, we'll start reinvesting and bringing ourselves a little bit closer to a fully sustained show. But today I wanted to talk a little bit different. I want to tackle an issue that's been making waves. And it's really funny that this ended up happening right about the time I started my channel. Because if you guys have been paying attention to the couple other videos that I put up, planned and intentional obsolescence is a huge thing for me. I feel like people should have the right to repair. I feel like people should have the right to make what they need if they want to. And I feel like we can move ourselves away from this culture of disposable items and reliance on someone else for our self-sufficiency, which I thought today's announcement was right in the vein of that. What I'm talking about is in the community of 3D printing. I don't know how many of you are 3D printers. I have one myself. If you guys want to know more about 3D printing, we can get into that. I'm by no means a pro in anything that I'm doing, and especially 3D printing. But there was an announcement on the 17th that I thought was very indicative of the exact thing that I talk about. If you've ever designed or customized or brainstormed something that would solve a problem with your own two hands, then you know things like 3D printing, they embody freedom, creativity. But what happens when a company makes a decision that seems to undercut that entire ethos? What happened was on January 17th, 2025, a big 3D printing company called Bambu Labs, they decided to make an announcement about a firmware update for some of their 3D printers. That update introduced something that they called an authorization control system. And in simple terms, what that means is that the 3D printer, in order to operate, their 3D printers will require official approval from Bambu Labs. Now, for those of you who are a little bit savvy about 3D printing, again, I don't know next to anything about it, but I can tell you that I know that things like binding or unbinding your printer, remote video access, launching print jobs, all of that's going to have to go through this new system now. And again, I'm speaking mostly to the people who are familiar with 3D printers. The thing that is a kicker for me when we start talking about third-party slicing tools, things like Orca Slicer or Cura, Bambu decided that those programs aren't going to be fully functional. They restrict their ability with the interface so that unless you use their proprietary client, the Bambu Connect, you won't be able to utilize any of these other programs. If you feel like me, not just about 3D printing, but about intentional obsolescence at all, then to us, this feels completely counterintuitive to what 3D printing is supposed to be about. Isn't this technology about creating solutions ourselves? Open-ended systems, not closed proprietary reliance on some company, right? God, it's cold. Now, to me, like so many other things in various industries, this isn't about a firmware update. This is about the principle of user autonomy with a product that you paid good money to have. And like so many predecessors before it, when a company moves toward a closed ecosystem like that, they're effectively telling their consumers that, yes, you can use the technology that you paid for and you bought from us, but you only get to use it on our terms and for as long as we tell you. Now, it's only been a couple of days since they made that announcement, and I'm not really big in thinking of the 3D printing community at all. But the reaction that I've seen, even in my limited experience or limited exposure to this point, has been, let's just say it's mixed. A lot of people are understandably frustrated. They feel like the systems that they've spent so long customizing, modifying, and perfecting for their own uses, it just got taken away from them with this update. And other people bring up a really valid point in that it sets a precedent for a really, really slippery slope of restrictive updates that Bambu can do later on down the road. In my opinion, the real concern here isn't even about convenience or the security that they say it's about. I think it's about trust. I think that having my own tools, having my own processes, developing my own abilities and my own skill set extends to 3D printing like any other discipline I may pick up. And when you have a 3D printer, you don't just have hardware. You're buying into a philosophy of innovation and freedom, and you're breaking the chains that previously weren't accessible to many of us before 3D printers arrived. In my opinion, moves like this, they erode that trust. Bambu users, they pretty much got a decision to make, as I understand it. They can update to 1.08.03 and they can accept the restrictions, or they can decline it, and in the immediate consequence, they'll avoid any future updates, any security patches, any firmware corrections, no debugging. They'll get rid of all of that. They'll forego all of that by not doing the update. I don't see it as very far of a stretch for Bambu Labs to eventually say that if you haven't downloaded the firmware update, we'll simply brick your machine and it won't work anymore. Here is that it said that tasks and processes, including print jobs, could possibly be stalled or halted until the update is installed. Meaning you won't even get to use your machine until you accept what we've told you. Neither one of those choices feels great. And for those of you that have a Bambu printer, I feel your pain. A lot of us do. I mean, so many of us have fallen victim to the proprietary shoe-in closed ecosystem thing. The reason that so many people fall in love with 3D printing is kind of the same reason why I started doing this channel. It's empowering. It's about solving problems rather than being told by somebody else how to solve them. It's about innovation and collaboration, not control. This update and the thinking behind it, it feels like a step away from that. And it's sad because it's indicative of what I've been talking about during the short tenure of my channel. There's just so many companies that feel like this is the right thing to do for the sake of making sure that we continue to bring in a few dollars. I think it's a reminder and an inspiration for me and any community that I'm able to pull together for us to keep advocating for openness and collaboration and user freedom and self-sufficiency. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Is it just the cost of progress? Is it a necessary evil? Or is this a red flag for what 3D printers could be? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're passionate about self-sufficiency and autonomy and making and repairing, repurposing, and taking control of your own choices, then a lot of channels will ask you to subscribe, but I don't want to do that. I want to earn it. So if you felt like I did, then I appreciate it. If I haven't yet, stick with me. I'll do my best and I'll keep trying. Again, next time I'm going to have another big video about the tools that we picked up and expanding what we're going to be able to do. I am in talks with a very kind lady here in town who unfortunately has a few things that have fallen into disrepair around her house. Hopefully we'll be able to get over there and lend her a hand. And I'll try to take you guys along with me, or I'll bring things here and we'll work on them here in the shop. Till then, thanks for watching. Stay curious. Keep creating. And let's make our future. Have a good week, guys.